Good evening, America. I'm Gene Bailey, and you are watching FlashPoint. Lots to talk about in our world today. Thank you for being a part. Listen, I must start with some real facts about this week. If you're not with us in Los Angeles Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, you're missing half your life. I don't know what you're thinking. We're going to have a great time there to see what's going on at the Dream Center. You're going to be totally jazzed. FlashPoint Army, I'm telling you, you will not regret joining us there. Remember, Saturday, we're doing an outreach to the people of LA in that area. It's still a lot of fire victims, got issues that we got to take care of, feeding programs, young and old. And yes, I got a letter the other day. I'm in a wheelchair. Is that okay? Can I? Yes, we have something for everybody to do, young and old, and you can come help. So there's no excuse. So imagine to be served with the FlashPoint Army. We can all attack this together and see good happen there in the LA area. Now, a lot of people are concerned about becoming downtown LA. Where we are, Angelus Temple is very safe. That area, there's a parking garage right beside the church. It's just a short walk down an alley, and then you're into the building. So it's going to be, as far as the event goes, piece of cake. You're going to enjoy it. Free parking. Want to see you there. We're going to have a great, great time. And then Sunday, join us I'll be preaching Sunday morning at Angelus Temple. This is like a dream to be able to preach where Amy Semple McPherson preached and had her church. So we're going to do that. I guarantee you will not go to sleep. We're going to have a good time. And I want to look forward to seeing you there. Okay, all of our events are listed on the FlashPoint Army website. All you got to do is go to fparmy.com/events. So let's get things started. I want to welcome to the program my panel, Rick Green, Ed Rush, and Jaco Booyens. Welcome, gentlemen. Rick, where are you? You're not in your...
You are. And like I said, we're turning California around. So you come and start it with us. You'll be with us to remember the day. I remember the day when California started to turn.
So absolutely. Yeah, I see. I can tell you've been on the West Coast already. It's all about the free stuff.
In Louisville, we had people lining up 5 hours early. 5 hours early to get in there. So come on, LA.
That's good.
Let's do this thing.
Yeah, Jaco, I know you're just sitting there, South African there, sitting there watching crazy Americans. Jaco, you should come to LA. I don't know what you're doing, but nothing's more important than FlashPoint LA this week.
Hey, I'd love to be there, actually. I just came back from San Diego. Rick is a dear friend. Dear friends, good to see you, Rick and Ed. Listen, the Lord says, for me and my house, we serve the Lord. So that is the most conservative place in California right now is your house.
There it is.
And so, I'd love to be there, man. And
see, that's what happens. You just freeze up. It freezes up when it's the devil is what it is. All right. So let me, while we wait for Jaco's feed to reset, I want to get to some news stories. The temptation is to spend half an hour on the Cracker Barrel, but I'm not going to do that just because it's too much fun. But let's talk about what has happened. Let me watch this. D.C. is getting cleaned up. Let's make D.C. great again. Judge Jeanine Pirro, watch.
The president is literally transforming the safety landscape of Washington, D.C. And last night, we had another 10 guns removed from the street, another 86 arrests. We're up to 1,007 arrests, along with, I believe, 111 guns that have been removed from the street. What does that mean? They can't be used to shoot people, to kill people. And on top of all of that, we've got a government now where the people in D.C. are feeling safer. They know that there is a president who's looking to protect them. D.C. was one of the most violent cities in the world. And but for President Trump coming in and bringing in our federal partners, the marshals, ATF, FBI, DEA, Capitol Police, Park Police, we've got a unified force of people and law enforcement who are going into the crime-ridden areas and making a difference. And I'll tell you why it's making a difference. Today is the 12th day without a homicide in Washington, D.C. So far this year, we've had 101 homicides. But for the last 12 days, nothing.
You know, I don't know whether to celebrate that, Rick, or to how sad is it that we're celebrating a day without a homicide in D.C. Rick, it's been a while since I've talked to you about this. What do you think Why do you think President Trump has made this? I mean, it's wonderful, don't get me wrong, but why has this been such an effort for him?
Well, it's symbolic. I mean, it's more than symbolic, but it is symbolic. It's our nation's capital. I mean, he understands the marketing aspect of this for the psychology of our people. In other words, like patriotism and being proud of your country, loving your country, all of those things. He understands, like Ronald Reagan did, how important that is for the citizenship in the country to work well, for the republic to end up actually working. You can't have a constitutional republic if you don't have people that self-govern, and people can't self-govern if they don't have patriotism and they don't understand what the country's all about. So the fact that our own capital, Mark Meckler mentioned this when this all first started a couple of weeks ago, is such a cesspool, is the opposite of what it should be. It ought to be the nicest, greatest place to visit in the whole country. It ought to be beautiful. It ought to be pristine. And Trump understands that. I mean, this is a guy that understands the importance of the psychology of what your capital looks like. And you remember, Gene, when we first talked about this, it was right as he was getting ready to go into the talks with Putin. And we were like, he's embarrassed to say that he's having to send in troops to basically clean up our nation's capital when he's going to have this meeting with, the guy that is going to rub that in, basically. So anyway, I think that's part of it. It's psychological, it's symbolic, but it's also just pure safety. I was just saying earlier today, Gene, I used to love going to D.C. I love giving tours of the Capitol. I've given, probably 100 of them. I love going to the history and studying the history. I have hated going to Washington, D.C. for the last few years because it's unsafe and because of the political persecution. I knew that if I had to defend myself in that city against a crime, that I would end up being the one prosecuted. And so Trump is turning all of that around so that we as American citizens can enjoy our nation's capital. I'm going to end with a question. You asked me where I am. Gene, where are you, man? It looks like a totally different backdrop for you.
Yeah,
it's kind of cool, actually. We're having to see you in 3 or 4 images. That part's not cool. That's kind of weird.
Yeah,
but
I don't know what you're talking about. Everything is fine here, Rick. I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, let me explain. Those of you who didn't see the show last week, we are upstairs in the control room, the master control room here for FlashPoint, the FlashPoint network. Everything we do comes through here because we are working downstairs on some set renovations. We're putting an LED wall in, and we're going to take our time, do it right, get it finished, and then we'll move back downstairs. But in the meantime, I get bored easily, so we keep moving things around.
You look like Max Hedren.
Yeah,
you look like that old Max Hedren video, where there's like 15 of you around. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I'll come up with something later. Anyway, let me read you this. Project Constitution posts, they're terrified. Trump's D.C. takeover is a huge success. Now 1,700 National Guard troops deploying to Chicago and other liberal cities. Wait, you mean there's more? Watch.
We're entering the 3rd week this morning of the D.C. takeover by the Trump administration. Just yesterday, over 2,200 National Guard members patrolling the streets of the nation's capital. President Trump says he's been cracking down on crime in the nation's capital. According to a report from the Rochester Institute of Technology, the murder rate in D.C. per 100,000 people was on par with Chicago, nearly 4 times higher than Los Angeles, nearly 6 times higher than New York. President Trump right now says Chicago will be the next location.
We're going to make our cities very, very safe. Chicago's a mess. You have an incompetent mayor, grossly incompetent. So I think Chicago will be our next, and then we'll help with New York.
Well, the White House says 1,700 National Guard members will also be deployed in 19 states to help the Department of Homeland Security at immigrations and customs enforcement facilities.
All right, Jaco, I'm going to get you to comment on that, but let me explain who you are to those who don't recognize you. You're native of South Africa, American citizen, serves on multiple anti-trafficking boards, including working with TSA, FBI, police departments, CIA, ICE, Homeland Security, foreign agencies, and over 170 NGOs in 56 countries. I know Jaco Moore from fighting trafficking here in America and how he survived it firsthand with his sister being a victim and now a survivor. And we're going to get into that a little bit more. But that's the background of Jaco. So I want you to comment on this whole thing, Jaco, with what we're seeing with the cities being cleaned up. It's got to affect the trafficking industry as well, don't you think?
Yeah, no, it's going to look, law and order must prevail in our country. You have to reestablish law and order. President Trump ran on this, and we're seeing something very interesting happening in America at the moment. Maybe first for a long time, where an elected official is actually answering to the people, because the people wanted this. Yep. They elected him to establish law and order, secure the border, establish law and order, bring crime down, get the economy up, fight human trafficking, and he's delivering on what he was elected to do. Who would have thought that an elected official would actually do what the people elected him to do? So starting at home, you must start in the nation's capital. Blessing flows down. God is a God of order. And then you're going to see him going after the sanctuary cities, which is what he's doing now. He's going to go after Chicago and Los Angeles and New York. And then we'll infiltrate some middle America. But we have to reestablish law and order in the sanctuary cities, because cartels and criminal activity are bred there. Chicago, particularly, historically, when you look at Louis Farrakhan, Jeremiah Wright, Jesse Jackson, Barack Obama, that was all bred through Chicago. So Chicago has, for many decades, had a stronghold on America. It's going to be really interesting when we see President Trump with the National Guard and the troops move into Chicago and start reestablishing law and order. I think it's going to affect the whole nation.
I think it is going to affect, but let's kind of hover here on Chicago. Ed, look at this. Breaking. The Chicago mayor, Brandon Johnson's now calling on the citizens of Chicago to rise up and fight against tyranny. This is crazy. Here's it in his own words.
We're going to remain firm. We'll take legal action. But the people in this city are accustomed to rising up against tyranny. And if that's necessary, I believe that the people of Chicago will stand firm alongside of me as I work every single day to protect the people of this city.
Ed, come on. This is crazy talk.
I mean, this is so much fun to watch, though. I think that this is actually playing right into the president's hands. You can't understand President Trump unless you understand humor, hyperbole, and the fact that almost everything he does comes from a marketing perspective. So, for example, if I showed you this pen and I said, "This is the greatest pen ever. This is the world's greatest pen," you know for sure that it's not the greatest pen. You just know that I think it's a really great pen. And so when the president says that DC or Chicago is the most crime-ridden city, Democrats go crazy and they look at all the statistics and they say that he's lying, but they don't understand that the way he communicates is built around humor, hyperbole, and a marketing angle. And by the way, the marketing angle is what's working here. What the president has done, which is fascinating, is he's actually gotten Democrats to come out against safe cities and actually for crime. And so what's going to happen, because the National Guard can't stay there forever, the National Guard is going to leave DC, and then the numbers are going to go back into the DC police, or the defense of the city is going to go back to the DC police. The numbers will obviously change, but the marketing angle shows that the president was right and they were wrong. And the same for Chicago. If Chicago continues to push back on this, and then they can have one murder after another, it's going to simply look bad. And I have to say, quite a few of the things the president does, when it first comes out, you wonder, like, what exactly is he doing here? Like I said, you have to understand he is an unbelievable marketer, and his ability to paint pictures for the American people is actually really good. And that's exactly what he's doing in DC right now, and probably what he's going to do next in Chicago.
Okay, Rick, before I go to this cashless bail thing that came out, you know, talking about these cities, so he starts in DC and he says he's going to go to Chicago. Like Jaco said, LA's got to be right there behind it. Hitting these sanctuary cities, actually, and I agree with what Ed said, this is what the American people wanted to see. This is what they're asking for. And I believe Americans are like me. I want something to happen. Now go do it. I elected you, so let me see what. I don't want 4 years to get one thing done. He's getting a lot of stuff done. And I think this is what the American people enjoy so much, because it resonates with them that they're getting stuff done. However, the liberal side of politics in this light is going to be forced to take a stand. Either they do what this mayor, Brandon Sanders, push back, get violent if he has to, or concede and let Trump do what he do. What do you think? Where do you think they're going to land in all of this?
Well, Ed and Jaco both are so right. I mean, first, what Ed said. I mean, it's just fun to watch them have to take positions, defending and having as their heroes and the people they're going to bat for, rapists, murderers, gang members, child sex traffickers. mean, that's becoming their constituency. That's who they are trying to defend. So whenever, they had control and they were running DC, who did they prosecute? They prosecuted political people for exercising their right of free speech and freedom of assembly. We get control, or Donald Trump gets control, and he's literally putting the criminals that are terrorizing the streets in jail. And now he's going to go to Chicago and do it, and they're going to come out and say, we want to stop you from arresting criminals. Now this mayor is bad. I think President Trump is right. But don't forget who the previous mayor was, Mayor Beetlejuice. She was the one that was telling churches, we're going to arrest you for meeting, and we're going to tear down your church. I remember going to Chicago in May of 2020 to stand with those Romanian pastors who were refusing to bow, and she was telling them she was literally going to do summary abatement and tear down their church. So the sides that are being drawn here and who the different sides are for is absolutely incredible. And to Jaco's point, the spiritual battle of Chicago is critical. And for all of our viewers that don't know Jaco yet, and I'm so glad you got him on tonight, this is a guy who I met at the State Board of Education in Texas. We're sitting next to each other. We have no idea who the other one is. And he gets up to testify. And when he's coming back, I'm thinking, man, I got to get to know this guy. He's so on the page. I go testify and I come back and he goes, I got to get to know this guy. And so anyway, we've become great friends ever since. But his vision for being able to see the different pieces of the puzzle spiritually in this way, because of what he's dealing with on the child sex trafficking thing, that is a critical part of the input and commentary tonight. And I think the wisdom that he just shared is huge. So anyway, thank you, Gene, for having him on. Max. Thank you, Max, for having Jaco on tonight. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So many people right now are going, what are they talking about?
Or wondering, what are they talking about?
All right, let me show you that. I'm going to get to the child trafficking thing because it's a key point, but I want to keep knocking this down. Democrats' reckless, soft on crime policies put criminals back on the streets, prioritizing the interest of criminals over the safety of law-abiding citizens. That ends today. Here's what he did.
Also on the issue of cashless bail, sir, this is a DC-specific executive order. In addition to the measures that we're taking that are quite similar to what we're doing around the country, in DC in particular, the objective is holding as many criminal defendants in federal custody and subjecting them to federal charges as possible. That means that they'll be held pre-trial in federal jail as opposed to just being cut back out on the streets due to a cashless bail policy.
Okay. All right, cashless bail, Jaco, I'll let you talk about that. How does that? I mean, there's no holds barred here. I mean, he's really going for it. Give me your thoughts on that.
Well, really, it's so funny when you're doing the right thing seems radical. This is not radical. He's just trying to drop a plumb line again and reestablishing law and order. He's just saying, look, this makes no sense. When pedophiles and predators and murderers get booked and walk the same day, we're not safe. This is just logic. But on the other side of the coin, there is no logic, which is when it's a spiritual demonic battle, is when there's no reason and no logic, is when they say the quiet parts out loud, like defending slave labor for not wanting someone who's illegal to stay in the country, or defending pedophiles and predators. So President Trump here is setting a precedent. And you'd be shocked if you know how many cities in the United States now has cashless bail, or just they don't even get booked. They get fingerprinted, like in New York. Literally a predator in New York of a child gets arrested and walks the same afternoon, no bail. And so this is bringing us back to center. I'd like to see us start actually enforcing the law,
right?
Actually start prosecuting 30 years to life, et cetera, et cetera.
I agree. I'm 100%. Ed, your thoughts?
I mean, I don't have much to add other than to simply say, I think the lean in the last maybe 8 years or so has definitely been towards criminal justice reform. And the truth is, there are quite a few reforms that absolutely needed to be made. I'm friends with some of the folks who pushed that through in 2016 to 2020, along with President Pat Nolan, among a number of other people. The pendulum definitely is coming back in the other direction now, and I feel like we're going to find a nice center here. I mean, the last thing that we want are violent criminals back on the street a day or two after they've committed some sort of violent crime. I think that's pretty easy for anyone to simply see and understand. And it's up to judges to set bail or not set bail, depending on the violence of that particular person. Again, I just see this as the pendulum kind of coming back when it comes to justice reform. I think we really do need a comprehensive still look at justice reform, maybe speedier trials, a little bit, a faster justice system. But in general, putting violent people back on the street is crazy. And I'm just glad the president is doing that in the jurisdiction that he has over D.C.
I agree. But all of this is pointing back to the next topic, which is Jaco's wheelhouse here. Homeland Security Post, child sex trafficking ring busted. The monsters were sex trafficking children, including runaways, and recruiting victims through social media. Watch.
Here in Los Angeles, there is an area notorious for sex workers in and around Figueroa Street. Federal and local law enforcement tells us they decided to go after one especially bad gang that is enslaving women and children in what law enforcement says is the first ever case RICO charge here in Los Angeles for human trafficking.
This is the police. You have a warrant. Come out with your hands up.
Fox News exclusively on scene in a pre-dawn takedown of the Hoover Street Gang that the federal government says runs a heinous sex trafficking operation, exploiting victims as young as 14 years old with the promise of a lavish lifestyle.
Has he been here? Is he in the residence? Has he been here the last couple of days?
In a partnered investigation, including the DOJ, Homeland Security, and LAPD, 11 suspects across LA were targeted in a RICO case. At a downtown motel used to allegedly sell women, federal agents surrounded one of their 11 suspects and took him into custody. Police say during the operation, they also rescued 4 victims, including a minor. Federal investigators say a female, Amaya Armstead, who goes by the street name Lady Duck, was a lead target and prolific human trafficker. Her moniker even tattooed on at least 4 victims' bodies. The criminal complaint describing one instance when Armstead posted a video of herself beating a woman in a convenience store, holding her down by the hair and repeatedly kicking and kneeing her. The woman shouts that she's pregnant, but defendant Armstead continues to beat her.
Jaco, I think most of the people that are watching tonight, no matter where they live, not just here in America, don't understand the degree of what's going on. So we still have to educate, especially here in America. We have to educate Americans what's really going on in these cities. So you see the report. Is it really that bad? And is it really just is it in the blue cities or is it in the red cities too?
No, Gene, I'll travel real quick here with some statistics. We're the #1 nation on earth commercializing buying sex of minors, right? So human trafficking. In the U.S., Houston, Texas, #1 city in the world for human trafficking. $52 billion, with a B, dollars spent domestically on buying women and children for sex in the U.S. That dwarfs the NFL, the NBA, Major League Baseball combined, right? It's a gigantic problem. It's in every single zip code in the United States, both structured and unstructured. The RICO charges that you just saw, look, the arrests are great. Law enforcement's doing their job. Legislators for the last 15 years have made laws, right, to criminalize the crime. We're failing in the courts. We're failing dismally in the courts. We're now, asking Congress to start specialized human trafficking courts as Article III courts. We have that for specialized cases such as bankruptcy court, because the prosecutors plead these cases down. Those RICO charges, they will fall. They're not going to go to court. Sean Combs's RICO charges fell. They do not stand up because the judges do not want human trafficking cases in their court, because on average they take 19 months to prosecute. We should prosecute them at 9 months. Here's another stat for you. We only get charges on human trafficking cases. We only get charges at a rate of 16% in the states. 16% prosecutions. Any other felony is prosecuted at 92%. We've only had 184 prosecutions federally on human trafficking in the last 3 years. Dismal. You have tens of thousands of women and children trafficked inside this country every single day. The courts are failing. We're now asking Congress, stand up Article III special human trafficking courts, and we're getting a lot of traction with Congress to see human trafficking courts actually stood up where the judges and the prosecutors can be proficient in fighting this crime.
All right, so help me understand, Jaco, because why is it just because they don't want it to tie up the courts that the numbers, the convictions are so low? I mean, is that why? I mean, it doesn't make sense. I mean, I think this is repelling to repulsive even for most of my viewers tonight. And they want to know, why are these things not happening? Is it only because the guy doesn't want his court tied up for 19 months?
No, it's a lack of education. They do not understand the crime. If you think about this, in 1972, they said, look, bankruptcy is so complex, judges can't do it. We need special judges. You know, much more complicated in human trafficking cases. You've got force, fraud, coercion. You've got a minor. The minor may be a trafficker themselves. There's gigantic trauma. So the prosecutors know, the judges, these cases, they don't get convictions in court. So they plead them down to kidnapping, marijuana charge, gun charge, because there's no faith by the prosecutors in the judicial system. You look at Pam Bondi struggling with this. America is asking for justice on Jeffrey Epstein. The courts are not set up to handle these very complex cases because, you may know this or not, judges get these cases on a lottery system. So you've got a judge in Dallas, Texas that may be getting a human trafficking case next month. It's the first one of his life. And it's so complex. So they're just not educated enough. We have to specialize.
Wow. All right, let me show you this. Stephen Miller. He has a few words to say about Gavin Newsom. Watch.
The mayor of Los Angeles and the governor of California were in the largest sanctuary city and the largest sanctuary state in America. They refused to turn over tens of thousands of serial criminal illegal aliens to ICE. So they get arrested by state or local authorities and they get cut loose. They then go on to commit crimes like assault, armed robbery, home invasion, and murder. The most unimaginable, egregious crimes you could think of. All of that blood, all of that suffering, all of that heartache, squarely on the soul and conscience of California's governor and the mayor of Los Angeles. They are guilty of crimes against humanity. They are facilitating child trafficking, sex trafficking. Look, they think this is a game. They think this is a joke. This is life and death. When you meet with the families, as you have, Griff, whose loved ones have been raped and killed and slaughtered by criminal illegal aliens who have no right to be in this country, what Newsom are doing and what Bass is doing are unforgivable. And God bless our ICE agents and Border Patrol agents for going out there and doing this mission on behalf and on the orders of President Trump to make America safe for our citizens. The Democrat Party seems to only care about two groups right now, criminals and illegal aliens. And that's it. Donald Trump's Republican Party is fighting for law-abiding American citizens, and you're seeing the results right here in Washington, D.C., where the most violent city that we have in this country is now becoming, day by day, and will become one of the safest cities in the whole country.
I like Stephen Miller. I love he's passionate, directs to the point. But Jaco, I want to. Thank you for educating us, because I think most of us didn't realize why these cases don't ever get anywhere. That's why this human trafficking court is a big deal. So first off, what can we do? And I need to go quickly here before the break. What do we do to help this human trafficking court? What do we need to do? What kind of pressure can we give?
Yeah, people go to helpjbm.org. The white paper is there, and then they call their elected officials to say, we want this court. It's currently in the Senate Judiciary and the House Judiciary. There's a judiciary hearing coming up. There's a bill drafted. A moment's going to come when they need to vote on this in 2025.
Awesome. All right. Now, I do want to talk about what you're doing with the Way Ranch that you're starting to put together, the stabilization center. Quickly tell us what's happening there.
Yeah, CPS, 67% of children in CPS throughout the country are sexually exploited inside CPS. The system doesn't work. So God called us to go into the system and reform it. We're building the Way Ranch, which is a fully licensed facility for youth. We plan to have one of these in every state in the country and literally drain the swamp, getting children a home, not just a place, and put the money into the child, because we believe, like my sister, children can be redeemed when they get face-to-face with Jesus and the gospel of Jesus Christ, that they can be restored fully and become leaders in our country. And the first will be in Fort Worth.
All right. So what we're seeing there is the land that you actually have secured where you're going to build this.
Yeah, 75 acres, stunning facility, the amount of therapy. And we really anchor it in the church. We educate the church how to adopt children who have been exploited, how to foster children who have been exploited. We surround those families with resources. It's time for the church to step into this fight and take charge.
Amen to that. Jaco, thank you for coming by. Need to get you back sooner. But the wayranchtexas.org, encourage you to go look it up, see how you can help. This, and we'll bring Jaco back more often because you need to understand, like I was educated tonight, you need to understand what's really going on with trafficking. You think you know, and then you hear stuff like this tonight. That's why FlashPoint is here. Thank you for being here. We're going to take a break. After the break, Jonathan Cahn joins us. We'll be right back.
FlashPoint Live is coming to Council Bluffs, Iowa, Thursday, September 11th at 7 p.m. Join Gene Bailey at the Mid-America Center as we kick off Opening the Heavens 2025 with a powerful night of bold truth and prophetic insight. Join Hank Kuhneman, Lance Wallnau, John Amanchukwu, Tony Suarez, and Rick Green for one power-packed night. Register now at openingtheheavens.org. America, it's time to take a stand for truth.
Hey, FlashPoint Army, listen, we are going to be right here August 28th and 29th. But, Matt, I told you, we've been talking about, you've been walking us all around. The thing I told you I'm the most excited about and what I want you guys to be involved in is the outreach that we're going to do. It's going to be amazing. Tell them what they're going to be doing.
Yeah, it's going to be a big old summer outreach. I mean, kids are going back to school. We're going to have everything you can imagine to equip them. We're going to help fire victims. We're going to feed people. We're going to clothe people. And just have a big old party here. And just, LA doesn't have a lot of things like that for people, just to celebrate. So we're going to kind of throw the kitchen sink of everything that we have at the Dream Center for that one big day and make it a monumental outreach.
That's going to be a blast. So listen, I want all you guys to come on. I need a bunch of you to show up. We're going to lock arms with the Dream Center, Matthew, and everybody here, and we're going to see LA changed. Come on, be a part, 28th to 29th, right here in Los Angeles.
FlashPoint Live is coming to Angelus Temple in Los Angeles, California, August 28th and 29th. Join Gene Bailey and his guests, Matthew Barnett, Lorenzo Sewell, Rick Green, Luke Ball, Ed Rush, and many more for 2 breakthrough nights of bold commentary, news, and spiritual insight. Register for this free event at fparmy.com/California. August 28th and 29th, West Coast. Now's the time to be bold and stand for truth.
Welcome back to the second half of FlashPoint. We got a lot to talk about, and I want to start with just mentioning how important it is for you to share this program. Listen, that information in the first half hour about child trafficking, that alone, we need to educate everybody. We need to educate, probably you need to educate your pastor on what's really going on in the city where you are. It affects all of us, and we need to be involved and see that. So share this program on all your social media outlets, and I just think it's going to be an amazing time. Now, listen, on the outreach, come show up, register. Can't get a shirt. We had special shirts made for those that are helping us with the outreach. Come be a part, and we will see you there in LA coming up this week. It's going to be a great time. Well, with me right now is someone that's no mystery to a lot of you. A lot of you have his books on your shelf. A friend of FlashPoint, Rabbi Jonathan Cahn. Rabbi, welcome back to the program. Tell us about this new thing you're doing with an avatar. First off, you're going to have to explain the whole avatar thing to everybody so that everybody understands what that really means.
Yeah, the Avatar is the newest book. It's coming out right now. It's got to be the most explosive book, Gene, that I've ever written. I've written some explosive books, but I don't even know what's going to happen when this comes out. And the thing is that an avatar is actually linked to the gods. It's a link to the spirits, and that avatar is a representation or an instrument of the gods. And I did a book called The Return of the Gods, and it's about what's happening in America right now and the forces that are happening. But now it's going to another level, and so The Avatar is going to be really pulling away a veil about what's happening behind really everything. I mean, the political realm, the mystery of Donald Trump, the mystery of Joe Biden, the assassination attempt, what's happening to our culture, where we are prophetically. And again, I don't know what's going to happen as it's about to come out. So, but it is the most explosive. But it is this whole nother realm.
All right, so people can pre-order the book, right? I mean, or wait till September 2, which is right around. How do they pre-order the book?
Well, thank you, Gene. Yeah, we're right. I mean, right now, if you even order it, it's going to come as if it was out right now. Yeah, if you just go to Amazon right now, you'll see that on there. If you go to anywhere online, you'll see it. And very shortly, it's going to be everywhere. But if you order it now, you're going to get it first. So yes, it's literally everywhere. I pray people get it, not just for themselves, but for people in their life who need to wake up, need to know. All
right, that's the latest. All right, so Jonathan, I'm going to ask you something, because maybe there's a lot of people that don't know you and your history. So let's go. I've got a few points here that I want to read, and I want you to comment on this. Of course, you were born and raised in a Jewish family in New York City, but at 20, you had a life-changing encounter with Yeshua after a near-death experience. What happened?
I wasn't born in New York City, but in New York State. But basically, what happened, Gene, is I got hit by a train. When I was 8 years old, I was in Hebrew school. I became an atheist, and the thing is that I didn't see the God of the Bible in the synagogue. But when I was about 13, 14, I said, no, there's got to be something. So I started seeking, and everywhere I got books on everything: religion, science, UFOs, occult. One day I picked up The Late Great Planet Earth by Hal Lindsey, which is all about prophecy coming true now. I had no idea, so I started believing. But I didn't want to give my life to the Lord. I had a rock band. I was doing what a teenager does. And I made a deal with God. I said, if you give me a long life, I'll accept you on my deathbed. And so soon after I prayed that, I was almost killed twice. The second time, I was hit by a locomotive train. And literally, I was in a Ford Pinto. It just destroyed the car. I just called out to God, and the car was destroyed. I didn't get a scratch. So I said, Lord, can we renegotiate? And so here's a new deal. I'll accept you when I turn 20. So on my 20th birthday, I didn't know how. I remember from Hebrew school, God met Moses on a mountain. So I found a mountain, and I went up the mountain, and on top of the mountaintop, gave my life to the Lord when I turned 20. And the thing is that, years later, Gene, I'm from the house of Aaron, the priests. And the thing is that I'm reading the Bible, and it says that the sons of Aaron, they began serving the Lord in the temple of David, of Solomon, when they turned 20 on their 20th birthday. Wow. I had no idea. I was just going for time.
All right. So I don't know. Let me bring Rick Green in here. Rick, sometimes it takes a train to get your attention. I mean, like, you could have stopped right there with, I was hit by a train, and you were hit riding in a Ford Pinto, which had I think a recall because they would explode if you got hit back in the back by the gas tank. I'm thinking that would get my attention as well. Rick, would that be enough for you?
I've always said God has to hit me upside the head with a 2x4. Jonathan took it to a whole nother level, getting hit by a train. But Jonathan, you had me at the rock band.
That was my next question.
I had no idea you had a rock band.
So I want a picture.
That's the one thing I'm going to remember from tonight.
I need a picture, Jonathan. I need a picture.
No, I might, maybe I'll send you a tape, and then you'll say, forget about this,
Oh, yeah, I would love that. Yeah, do it.
Garage rock band, yes, yeah.
Yeah,
that's right.
Did you have, long hair and stuff?
Yeah, like a lot of hair. I mean, you think I have hair now, a lot of hair. And, it was BC, and it was, I still play guitar, by the way, and I still play the synthesizer, but yes, I had that. I didn't want to give it up. I don't know why. But, it says Jews require signs. I required a train.
Yeah, that was quite effective. Wow.
You know what though, Gene? I think some of it's interesting when you look at the thread of how God uses people. Very often, the ones that He uses to have the most impact have these very impactful, outlandish stories of how God got a hold of them. And I don't know if there's just something about that makes a guy like Jonathan then go all the way in, right? Because it was so wild how God got a hold of him, that now it just gives him that much more confidence in what he stands on to do what he's done with. I mean, every book you write, Jonathan, has such a significant impact on how people see the world around them right now. So the impact that you're having is absolutely incredible. And I think so. I'm not discounting anybody's salvation story if it's not as dramatic, but there's just so many times I run into guys like you that are having such an impact on the world around us right now. And when you get the story, you're going, okay, well, that makes sense that God had to round them up like that because of the impact they were going to have in the long run. Just like Moses or a lot of our biblical heroes, but a lot of the people that are doing what you're doing now today, it's very similar.
Yeah, it's amazing. All right, so Jonathan, I really, so if you got your guitar right there, or your synthesizer behind you,
the synthesizer behind me.
Yeah, you should crank that thing up. Let's hear something.
No, you're kidding me.
No, I'm not kidding. I mean, it's live. We're around the world. It's no big deal.
Do it.
But
this is great.
But it's on.
We are the world.
It's on a goes to the speaker, so I don't think you'll hear it. Oh, wait a minute. I can't believe I'm doing this, Gene.
Me either. What has it got to take? Got to hit by a train?
Yeah. We just need George Barna on as well. You know, when you interview George, he's got all these guitars around him. He could pull a guitar off, and Jonathan could get on the synthesizers. It almost
I'm sure it was amazing, Jonathan. I'm sure it was amazing. We couldn't hear it.
We are the world.
You couldn't hear it. Okay. Well, you're blessed.
No. Now the FlashPoint Army must hear Jonathan. So we're going to give you a couple days off. Come back on the show, and we got to hear you. Would you do it for me?
Or a live FlashPoint event?
If I do it, Gene, it means the end is truly near.
Well, by all means, do it now. Then.
Oh man.
Oh, that's great.
Maybe at the next FlashPoint gathering, maybe, but I wouldn't do that to your.
That sounds like a commitment. Don't you think so, Ed? Sounded like a commitment.
No, sound like it.
We have a quartet. I'm just thinking, Rick could pull out his recorder. I'm sure he has a recorder in his bag.
Absolutely.
I'll just whistle.
Yeah.
So.
Wow. Okay, but. In all seriousness, I'm sorry you lost me. Rock band, hit by a train.
I have one, Eric.
Ford Pinto. You win the prize today. You trumped everybody. Yeah.
Trumped. Yeah.
Yes. Ed, just so you know, I can still play Rock Around the Clock on the recorder.
Here's another thing. When I went back to the mountain where I came to the Lord years later. And I spent time on the mountain and had a great time with the Lord. And I brought my shofar and my talent. It's at night with a flashlight. The next day, I'm at the Beth Israel, the congregation I lead, and somebody says, I know it's your birthday because I got saved on my birthday. They had a gift for me. It's a drawing. It's a framed drawing of a man standing on a mountaintop with a trumpet, shofar, with a prayer shawl, blowing it. And I'm saying, well, that was me last night. They said, well, what mountain? I said, I don't know what mountain. I just found it. They said, well, describe it. Well, the person says, I know that mountain. Says that, that mountain is dedicated to Satan. I said, really? Well, I got saved on the top of it. He said, well, on this flat stone. He said, that's the altar. And the thing is, Jay, you talk about what's going to happen. My whole life began, my salvation began in this dramatic way. It hasn't stopped, but the thing is, I remember seeing graffiti on that mountain and words in there. It said, no Jew shall enter these sacred grounds. I said, who would write that? Nazis? Well, the devil in one way would write that because he's been trying to keep the Jewish people away, from their salvation. I said, too late, Satan, this Jew is in.
Again, who has stories like this? I mean, that's an amazing story. Ed's got a plant. You've got like Pintos and Ed failed kindergarten. I mean, you've got some great stuff. Okay, but in all seriousness, John, because I know we're running out of time. I'm trying to get my thoughts back off of Pintos and trains.
Sorry for shocking you.
No. I think this is great TV. The only thing missing was the sound. I think you really probably turned the sound off. You didn't want us to hear. So
I was really trying to do an audition for you, but
okay. So we'll take you up on that later. I want to get, the books are phenomenal, and you've blessed so many people across the world. But I want to know, what does Jonathan Cahn think about the time? Encapsulate that in like 2 minutes. The season that we're living in right now. I want to know, what is it that you see?
Yeah, a great question. And actually the Avatar it's dealing with all the forces behind everything. And what we just kind of dodged a bullet right now. The thing is that I brought up, Gene, we've talked about it. The template of Jehu behind Donald Trump, it's amazing. It's exact. It's continuing. This ancient king in the Bible who was radical, who was wild, who was used, unlikely man, was used to do something of God. And where we are right now is with the second term of Donald Trump, and there's been a rolling back. We were at this point where this agenda was taking over virtually every institution of our culture. And that's what happened in the time of Jehu. It was the house of Ahab taking over everything, was going to seal the nation. And it's not about a person, but God used Jehu to roll it back, and God's using actually Donald Trump. And the thing is, we have a window. God has given us a window. And the purpose for the window is not to have a window, it's to have revival. Amen. Because without revival, America can't be saved. If we change the government, but we don't change the people are going to change the government back. And if we turn the laws, but we don't turn hearts, the unturned hearts are going to turn the laws back. So the thing is that we've got an amazing window. Gene, you and I were there 8 days before the election when Donald Trump was there, and I was led to give a word, which is linked to Jehu and about what the reason is that he's going to win. Well, we are in that season. We have to pray as never before for revival and work for it and speak for it and labor for it and actually choose to be in revival, because if we do, literally, it could change the course of this nation and the world. And I've seen God literally change the course of America at least 3 times by "if my people who are called by my name." So this is a crucial moment. It's an exciting moment, but we got to rise to it.
Excellent. Jonathan, thank you. The book, Avatar, you can get it. Go ahead, scan the QR code. It's available September 2nd. I would suggest go ahead and pre-order the book. That way it'll be there almost right away. The Return of the Ancients and the Future of America. Our future's bright. Rabbi Kahn, thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Gene. And we'll see about that concert.
Yes, we will. We will. America has spoken. The world has spoken. They want it. All right, let's go back. So good to have Jonathan on. Let's go back to what's happening with the truckers here. Illegal immigrant trucker. I don't know if you saw this story, guys. This is a trucker failed safety test, but he got a multi-state license. Identified only one. Listen to this test he took. He identified only 1 of 4 traffic signs, answered 2 of 12 questions before the fatal crash, and it could be preventable. This whole thing is crazy. Here, watch this clip. Oh, with the B-roll. B-roll, you saw it. All right, so Ed, you see this? Look at what happens here. This is horrible situation, and this is something I didn't know we were having to deal with. That this type of devastation from an illegal, yet he was able to get a license, multi-state license. I want to know who gave it to him, who said this was okay, and how did they do that?
Yeah, we live in interesting times, just like Rabbi Kahn said. We have this window, and I really appreciated the way he said that. I'll never forget. Literally, right after Donald Trump was inaugurated, I was talking to our friend Patricia King, and she was speaking prophetically about this 4-year window we have. And thank God we have this window, because we get to see things like this and we get to examine our system for the better. Now, I think we all agree we don't want an overreaching bureaucracy. We don't want an excessive number of tests or wickets to jump through, to be able to drive certain things or to be able to operate certain machinery. But, you should be able to recognize basic road signs. You should be able to know the general laws of the road to drive a car. That Pinto you were talking about? I had one of those, by the way, growing up. So my grandfather had the radiator was like a Coke can. I'm not even kidding you. That's how old that car was. And but back to the point, I had to get a license to be able to drive that Pinto and take some very simple tests. And I think what we're doing right now as a country is, again, I mentioned this pendulum a little bit earlier on. We're just writing some things. We're being aware of some things all of a sudden. Thank God for X and social media. And those things are starting to get corrected. It's sad that we have to lose lives for that to happen. But sometimes that's what it takes to get the correction back like we need, which I think is what we're doing.
Well, let me show you some of the correction that's happening. Marco Rubio post, effective immediately, we're pausing all issuance of worker visas for commercial truck drivers. The increasing number of foreign drivers operating large tractor-trailer trucks on U.S. roads is endangering American lives and undercutting the livelihoods of American truckers. This is good news, Rick. This is good news. It's a great first step. But before you comment, look at what your guy, and you'll know why I say your guy, Ron DeSantis did in Florida. This is an amazing idea. Look at the way that he's cutting down. Watch.
But today, Florida's Attorney General is going to announce that all the trucking weigh stations in the state of Florida will now serve as immigration checkpoints.
Great idea. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a great idea. And by the way, I also think we should find out who gave him his road test, who green-lighted it, what company insured him, what company hired him, and all those companies pay the price. That's the only thing you got to do. You got to destroy the companies that are putting our lives at risk.
There you go, Rick. Your thoughts? Good idea.
Yeah, great idea. You know, I mean, Governor DeSantis is fantastic at those strategic moves like that. And to pick up on Ed's point, this is going to take time. You know, don't forget the faucet was on for so long of allowing these illegal aliens to come in and to flood the zone throughout our country. The water may have been turned off. The faucet may now be off, and we may have been able to secure the border. Thank God for that. But it gives us exactly what Jonathan was talking about, what Ed's talking about, the window of opportunity to now do the hard work that's going to take time to clean these things up. And it's amazing to me how many different areas that water finds a way to go into, so that even here in having an illegal alien that's been able to get this license and now kills these people because he doesn't even know the basic, traffic laws to be able to follow. So that's just an example of so many areas, the criminals that we've been talking about. I mean, all of these things. You said it, Gene. You said it's preventable. These things were preventable. But unfortunately, because of the people that hated our country being in charge of our country for those 4 years, they allowed that flooding to take place. And we've now got the damage, if you will, from all of that water, all of those things happening. But I agree with Jonathan. I think it's a wonderful window of opportunity. We're just going to have to be vigilant. We're going to have to say, hey, God, this is the deck you've given us. This is the hand you've given us. And we're going to do the best we can with it. And we're going to do the hard work that's necessary. And it will pay off. It will pay off eventually. Yeah. Go back to Rudy Giuliani's broken windows policy and what he was faced with how bad New York was and how he was able to persevere. It took time, but they cleaned it up. And New York was once again a habitable place and a place you'd want to go visit. That's going to happen as a result of what's happening in D.C. and eventually across the country if we stay the course and we don't grow weary in well-doing.
That is so good. All right, I want to end with this story. This is if you've watched any court TV type programs, you saw this man, Judge Frank Caprio. He passed away. Here's a little look back into who he was. Watch.
He was the compassionate courtroom judge seen by millions, whose rulings changed so many lives for the better.
I think 9:59 is close enough to 10. Matters dismissed.
Thank you. For 40 years, Judge Frank Caprio would hear cases on his Providence, Rhode Island bench, along the way earning millions of fans and the reputation for his compassion in the court, saying he treats each case with kindness, understanding, and dignity.
Guilty or not guilty? What do you say?
Guilty.
Guilty.
In later years, his hit TV show, Caught in Providence, put his humor and heart on full display.
Do you feel so bad that you want to help her pay for it?
Not that bad.
Not that bad.
He wasn't always so compassionate. His first day on the bench, his father proudly watching on. Caprio was tough on a young mother who hadn't paid her parking tickets. That didn't sit well with his father.
He said, Frank, she had 4 kids. Now suppose she can't feed the kids tonight. You weren't brought up that way.
The moment would change the course of his life and the lives of so many.
Day on the court set the tone of my judgeship of over 30 years.
His family sharing the news of his passing following a courageous battle with pancreatic cancer. He was 88 years old.
Judge Frank Caprio, well done. Ed, I love that part, what wisdom his father gave him. And this is why fathers are so important. That's why we have to have a revival of fatherhood in America. But his father giving him that, what are you thinking? That's not the way we do things. He had the heart, the humor. But I saw him do some pretty tough. He got tough when he needed to be. This is the way we should. You feel like this is kind of what America's coming back to. You talked about the pendulum swinging back. Do you feel that way? Do you see that?
Yeah, I mean, it feels so good. By the way, it's just wonderful to see. We talked earlier today about the justice system. We've been talking about illegal immigrants. Okay, there's wild extremes, and then there's wisdom that runs down the middle. I think this judge is a perfect example of that. a compassionate person who dealt with difficult issues throughout 30 years. And I think, as we navigate the next like 3.5 years or whatever we have left in this current administration, I think it's important to be able to look at those things with the eyes of wisdom and understand there's actual people behind all of these cases. There's real lives. There's real families. We obviously care about the rule of law. We obviously care about the security of our country, but at the same time, there's real people. And I think that story is so great for that. I got goosebumps watching it. And if you didn't get goosebumps watching that video, you have to check your goosebumper. It may not be working properly. That was pretty inspiring.
That's right. So. All right, we got a minute and a half here. Rick, I'll let you go first to wrap things up.
Yeah, I think what Ed said is so wise, man. It's justice and mercy, right? And I was thinking the exact same thing as I was watching the clip. It's like the wisdom of Solomon, right? To be able to be able to mete out justice, but also to have mercy when it's the right time to do that. And I do think we are coming back to that. Even the mentorship you were just referring to, where the father is influencing him in that way and literally helping to sharpen him in that way with that correction. We see it at Patriot Academy all the time, these young men and women that come to us and they're looking for that. They're hungry for that. So the pendulum is swinging from, hey, do whatever you want, whatever feels good. There is no right or wrong, to actually saying, let me tell you what's right or wrong. Let me tell you what's going to be good for you. And so fathers, yes, important. I would also say to everyone out there, look for someone you can mentor, that you can pour that kind of wisdom into and do justice and mercy.
Amen. Well, special thanks to Jaco Booyens, of course, Rabbi Kahn, Ed Rush, Rick Green. And of course, see, this is what really happens. You see, Rick sending me pictures of Max Headroom. This is what goes on behind the scenes, people. Y'all need to pray for FlashPoint. Thank you for being here. Tomorrow night, it's going to be a great show. You don't want to miss it. We'll see you then. You've just watched FlashPoint and you've seen what we do. And one of the great things about this program is its spontaneity. Did you see Jonathan Kahn's face? Like right now, right here, play the keyboard now. This is what's so crucial about FlashPoint. Listen, this is my personality. This is who we are. We're going to be spontaneous. We're going to talk about what's going on and where it's going on in the world. And I just want to say thank you for being a part. Every person here that's an investor in what FlashPoint is doing, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for helping us go further, do more events. We have great ideas, a great plan, but when it comes down to reading those letters every day, I'm always amazed at everybody that writes in and says, I've been watching, I've been with you since the beginning, or I've been watching, you don't know what you did for me. Ed's plant shirt helped me. I'm telling you, you just never know what God's going to do. And this is the one thing that FlashPoint's going to promise. I promise you that we are listening to the Holy Spirit lead every step of the way. So if you want to be an investor in what FlashPoint is doing, what God's doing through FlashPoint, it's real simple. It's right there at the bottom of the screen. Text your gift to code FLASH to 28950. And of course, fparmy.com/give. And of course, my favorite is going to check the mail at P.O. Box 1, Newark, Texas, 76071. Thanks.